As episode 1 of the Bad Batch season 2 kicks off, we see Clone Force 99, apart from Crosshair of course, being chased with a crate by crab-like creatures along the banks of a tropical beach-like planet. Now this planet isn't familiar to me, it sort of looks like Scarif maybe, but if it is identified please let me know in the comments. Anyhow, as they head towards their ship, the Marauder, to escape, we see Omega trying to fish something up in the water. However, they are abruptly interrupted and Hunter calls in Tech, who's waiting on the ship with Omega for a pickup. They run into a bit of trouble, but we see just how much they've improved combat and strategy-wise, particularly Omega. Once they arrive on Ord Mantell to confront Sid in her bar, we see Omega's droid, AZ, and he tells them Sid is upset due to them being late, but regardless, they continue walking until they reach her quarters. After Sid berates the batch, the camera cuts to a new character we haven't seen before, Phee Genoa. Now, this character is a friend of Sid's, and she tells Sid in the Bad Batch that she wants a cut of the profit if the Bad Batch succeeds in their upcoming mission. Now, this is where things get interesting. Sid gives them their new mission, which is to acquire a war chest containing treasures on the planet Serenno, but not just anywhere on Serenno, in Castle Serenno itself. If you don't know, this was Count Dooku's place of residence, particularly during the Clone Wars. However, now that Dooku is dead, the Empire is attempting to seize all of his valuables that he obtained as tributes or stole, depending on how you look at it, from other separatist planets during the war. The Batch's objective is to attain at least a portion of said treasure, which, as Sid implies, will make them unaccessibly wealthy. Before they head to Serenno, however, Hunter's the only one unsure of the mission due to the planet being Imperial occupied, but after Sid questions whether Hunter is after freedom or not, as that's what this mission could allow for, Hunter glances over at Omega for encouragement and decides to join the rest of the crew. On the way there, Echo and Hunter talk about how they are slightly limited due to the fact that they have to raise and look after Omega, and although they still feel confident about rescuing her from Kamino in season 1, Echo says they should be doing more as the Empire grows. Omega overhears this in her room behind the curtains and lays her head down until they arrive on the planet. Upon arrival, they glance over a ledge and are greeted with the remains of the city under the castle, and Echo tells Omega that the Empire bombed it as they did on Kamino with Tapoka City. Shortly thereafter, they notice that the clones working for the Empire are transporting all of the treasures off-world and decide that they have to be swift as their opportunity for success is slowly becoming more narrow. They proceed towards the closest container and split up with Wrecker keeping watch while Tech, Echo, and Omega grab 2 crates of the trove and Hunter planting explosives under the Imperial ships as a distraction to mask their escape. However, the clones notice that one of their men isn't reporting in due to being knocked unconscious by Wrecker, resulting in the clones scouting the premises. Hunter activates the explosives as a diversion, but the transport ships begin closing and taking off with Tech, Echo, and Omega still inside. Echo tries to open the cargo door from the inside, but everything is locked and sealed externally. Hunter and Wrecker engage in combat with the clones on the ground and attempt to breach the cargo to free their 3 companions. However, they are unable to do so. This results in them having to improvise, and Tech suggests that they could break out of the transport via the escape pods. Hunter approves and starts making his way to the Marauder with Wrecker in order to pick up the other 3, though Captain Wilco and the other clones continue to fire at them and they are forced inside Dooku's fortress where they are pinned down behind a set of controls. These controls, as it turns out, control a lift they are standing on, allowing for them to escape the castle. Unfortunately for the other 3, however, Wilco orders all escape pods to be ejected in order to prevent their escape from the transport, resulting in them, once again, having to improvise. Omega proposes they could escape using a cargo container due to Class 4 freighters having thrusters built into them. Impressed with Omega's quick thinking and knowledge on the matter, Tech agrees and the 3 of them make for one of the containers and successfully escape, though not unharmed. As with the start of episode 2, we see Tech's left femur fracture due to one of the storage crates inside the cargo container falling on it as they plummet from the sky down into the forest of Serenno below. Soon after, the episode cuts to Hunter and Wrecker fleeing into the ruined city below to take cover. Captain Wilco orders the Imperial clones to initiate a floor reconnaissance in order to locate the Bad Batch in their storage containers. With the help of Echo, he and Tech begin walking through the forest after crawling out of the container, but Omega is hesitant because she wants to fulfill the mission and recover the treasure inside the container. However, Echo insists that it's too dangerous, and later on it's revealed that Omega wanted to obtain said treasure because she wanted to prove herself useful after overhearing Echo and Hunter back on the ship, though they insist they didn't mean what they said later on in the episode. Nonetheless, back to where we were, Hunter contacts Tech and informs him that their comm channels are being monitored and orders Plant 00 0 into effect, which is essentially the entire crew, disabling their comms for the remainder of the mission. Omega notices someone in the forest, and they come to find out he is an old man native to the planet. The man says his name is Ramar, and after Tech scans a heat signature in the distance indicating a home or hideout of some sort, they order the man to take them to his abode. In the midst of this, Hunter and Wrecker find old Separatist tanks and attempt to use them, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Wilco and the clones continue to pursue Clone Force 99, and the camera soon cuts to Ramar's home. Ramar reveals there are other survivors, and Omega persists in trying to convince the others to go back and find the treasure hoard they lost. Ramar tells Omega the treasure is cursed, but she denies this and emphasizes that they need it in order to complete the mission. Ramar replies by stating that Dooku didn't just take from outside worlds, but also from his own people, leaving them with nothing. Omega says they can share the treasure to help them rebuild Serenno, but Ramar doesn't want a single piece of it and walks away, heading down a ladder below his house into a workshop of sorts. Omega follows and begins another conversation, resulting in the old man giving Omega an object resembling a kaleidoscope. She asks if it's treasure, and he tells her it's a toy that's supposed to make her happy, and explains that the enjoyment it may bring is worth more than any jewel. Before long, Echo leaves and begins scouting for troopers, while Ramar approaches Tech and asks if he can borrow his spanner to repair his data core. Tech hands him the tool, but questions why he possesses such a device. Ramar responds by telling him it houses archived information on his people's history, including Serenian culture, art, music, and memories. And to Ramar's amazement, Tech restores the device to a more pristine condition. Elsewhere, concurrently, Wrecker rips off the cannon of an old Separatist ship and uses it to shoot down an approaching Imperial vessel, while Hunter maintains his assault, neutralizing the incoming wave of clones. Back at Ramar's homestead, Echo returns and he and Tech notice Omega's disappearance, coming to the conclusion that she left to go and procure the aforementioned war chest. Echo bolts out the door and heads towards the location of the cargo container, with Tech limping behind. Once Echo arrives, he finds Omega with a sack full of gems, but she drops them as they climb back out of the storage module. To make matters worse, they are soon surrounded by clone troopers and an incoming gunship. However, Tech finally arrives and makes every effort to take out what troopers he can. Meanwhile, Hunter and Wrecker eventually make their way back to the Marauder and receive coordinates from Tech, who collapses after stunning the remaining troopers, although he would be brought back to his feet with the help of Ramar, who assists Tech, Echo, and Omega with getting back on the Marauder once it arrives and eliminates the gunship. Before departing, Tech is concerned about Ramar's safety and asks him what he'll do if he's confronted by the clones, to which he responds by stating that he is a survivor. The Bad Batch take off and depart from Serenno, with the camera cutting to inside the Marauder, where we can see Omega playing with her new toy. Echo walks in, and Omega apologizes about the treasure being lost, but Echo says they'll manage without it. Omega replies by saying that she wanted to make things better, and that she knows they gave up everything just to take her in. Echo answers back by saying it's a good thing they did, because if not, they'd likely be working for the Empire at this point, or possibly worse. He continues by telling her that he'd do it all again just for her, and she smiles back at him in a touching moment. However, the episode ends on a darker note when the camera pans back down to the surface of Serenno, and we see the arrival of Vice Admiral Rampart. Rampart tells Captain Wilco that there's a mistake in his report regarding Clone Force 99, as he terminated them on Camino during the aerial assault that destroyed Topoka City. Wilco denies this and says he has visual confirmation that it's them. However, Rampart interrupts and tells him that if this information were to reach Grand Moff Tarkin and the rest of the Empire, his reputation would be at risk. Therefore, he orders Wilco to falsify the report and remove any mention of the Bad Batch, but Wilco refuses to do so, resulting in Rampart savagely pulling out his blaster and terminating Wilco on the spot, causing him to plummet off the cliffs of Serenno. With everything covered, I hope you guys enjoyed. I think these first 2 episodes were pretty solid, and I believe we're going to be getting a lot more action as the series goes on, so I'm hyped for that. Anyways, have a great day. See ya.